My friend, welcome. I hope you're having an outstanding day. Happy February. It's the month of love. Yay. And today is one of the people that I love most in the world,
Aw.
Jeni Holla, the Akashic Nomad. And if you go, what the heck is that? Well, we're going to tell you. Hey, Jeni.
Hi. It's common for me to be like, "Holla, what up?" You're like, "You're on my
Hello.
show. Holla."
Right?
Yeah.
Welcome. So
Mhm.
it's this is interesting. So I always start with how did you get here? But how we got here is so interesting. We met not that long ago.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
It
Not at
was like,
all.
was it in the spring of, was it
I
just in the spring we met? But I
I'll
feel
tell
like
you,
I've known you a
time
long time.
yeah, time I don't know time anymore. It's kind of elusive to me.
Well,
Like, I'm
we
like, "I
were
don't
living
know."
in Portland at the time.
Yes. Yes.
So it's the Akashic Nomad. When I met you, you were in Portland. And then you went after Portland. I can't remember.
Portland?
Mm,
No, I wasn't in Portland.
you were somewhere over there.
No, there's no way. Like, I haven't been over that way in a long time.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
But now
Like,
right now you're in Florida for a
was I
few
in
months.
Ashland?
Maybe.
Was in Ashland, North
Ashland,
Carolina?
Portland.
Asheville.
Are they're close together? Is that close to Portland?
Well, there's Portland, Oregon, and there's Portland, like, Maine or something, which are, like, complete opposite sides, right? There might even be other Portlands because the United States has a lot of names that duplicate over and over and
Ge
over.
Geography is not my biggest game, you can see. But
I
we
think
met
it was
anyway,
Nashville.
long
Yes, I was in
story. We met, you were
Nashville.
in one place, and then you've moved around, and now you're in
Yes,
Florida right now for a little
yes,
while.
yes, yes, yes.
And what we just met in online networking, and then I feel like we've just, like we trust the online networking world, friends, because you meet amazing people,
Yes,
and this is
yes.
one of them.
Follow the
And
breadcrumbs.
all of the breadcrumbs. And
Yeah.
before we tell them what Akashic Nomad is, uh, and this might feed into it, because I know where you started out. Our beginnings were similar. How the heck did you go from corporate? How, I don't know if I know the whole story of how you just one day went, forget it.
Funny enough, you can always look back at things in your life and see where it was a forget it moment. But sometimes in the moment, it doesn't really feel forget it because maybe it's a little bit challenging to come into that space.
Right.
So yes, I think there is that aspect of forget it. But for me, um, I've been on an entrepreneurial journey for a very long time. I have been trying to make this entrepreneurial thing work for years and years and years and years, trying on different hats. Um, okay, I'm a life coach, I'm a wellness coach. Okay, now I'm going to do sales, now I'm going to go over here, like trying to figure out where I fit into the world. Most of the time, allowing other people to drive my bus,
Right.
looking for other people to provide the answers and the solutions and like the way to make it. So I've been on a spiritual journey for a long time. I've always been into these types of spiritual things, and I've as time has gone on, I've enjoyed going like deeper and deeper and feeling more and more comfortable with the things that were maybe a little bit more fringe that freaked me out before, right? Because I
Right.
didn't know what to do with them. um, like for example, let me just give one that was kind of like, oh, too much. When I used to travel for my sales job, I would go to Dallas pretty often in Texas, and I went to a meetup group. And on Tuesdays, they had the meetup, and it was usually some kind of more closer to mainstream type of palpable, spiritual thing that we were doing. So it was a spiritual meetup. But then on Thursday, you got invited to Thursday, I guess, if you kind of passed the Tuesday vibe check. So I must have passed the Tuesday vibe check. I was invited to Thursday, and the people were doing trance channeling.
Whoa, crazy.
And that was a bit too much for me. Like, I was like, okay, I'm kind of here for this, but I'm kind of freaked out. Like, I was aware of like Abraham Hicks and I was aware of different things, but like something about Abraham Hicks felt normal, and something about this lady whose voice just changed and she was channeling right there in front of me in this lady's living room. Like, it really was a bit too much for me. I was like, oh, okay. I don't think I'm going back to a Thursday again. Let me stick to Tuesdays, right? It's a little cleaner. Which is
The
funny.
Exorcist was just re-released, right?
No, I didn't know. I didn't know. It was a bit too much for me. Now I would be able to be in that room and be fine with it. But
Right.
anyways, so fast forward going down into those places over the past few years, and I never thought I would be the person on the other side of the table. I never thought I'd be the one giving the reading or channeling or any of those things. I just didn't think that was my path. Funny enough too, I don't think I've ever told this on a podcast or told you this. I had hired an intuitive coach. I don't know, it's probably been like 10 years ago. It was my first time working with an intuitive coach. And I remember asking something along the lines of like, oh, I don't know, I feel like I'm going to be like a spiritual, I don't know what word I used, teacher, leader. I don't know what word I used. I used some word. And whatever the energy was at the time, she was like, yeah, I don't see that. And so it's interesting because I don't know, maybe I said spiritual guru and it's like, no, you're not going to be a guru. I don't know. I don't know what she did or didn't pick up on, but I think that maybe got planted in the back of my mind this whole time as well. Like, well, that's not part of my path or something else. Very, very subconsciously.
And that's very connected to like letting someone else make that decision for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You let that intuitive coach say, nah, not you. You're like, okay.
Yeah. I was like, oh, all right. And, it's interesting because definitely at that time, it was probably a very hard no as far as like my immediate timeline, but like something in the future. So fast forward, I find the Akashic Records, which I had actually been introduced to way long time ago on my journey. And I had received a reading. Oh, at that lady's house, actually. Someone
the
came,
trans channeler lady?
I think it was on the Tuesday thing. Someone came and led us through an Akashic Records session, like a meditation or whatever. And once again, for me at the time was like, that was cool. I don't know what to do with it.
Right.
So fast forward, I'm here and my mind has absolutely been blown since entering into this work, because from my lens and my perspective of doing the life coaching and the wellness coaching, I'd really started to believe that it takes 6 months, 12 months for someone to transform. I didn't understand how to deliver transformational sessions like in 1 or 2 or 3. Like, that would stress me out. I'm like, oh, the pressure to deliver transformation in one session. Like how they teach in marketing, like, oh yeah, what's the quick win you can give them in a session? I couldn't wrap my head around that. Like, I was like, no, I need like 12 months, like, change someone's life. And from my perspective now, doing this work, intuitive work, and working with someone's soul, because the Akashic Records is the energy of everyone's soul, past, present, and future timelines. So I'm essentially receiving from the Akashic Records, like the energy of your soul. So these 1 sessions were so activating. I was like, wow, that changed a lot for someone. And I also hold in my belief now that you can activate. So you don't have to be in the Akashic Records. This was my truth, right? Like, you can have transformation in 1 session, and you can also have it over the course of a year, right?
Right.
But that just wasn't available to me based on my beliefs. So this is the path I needed to go to step into this, because I'm like mind blown by the experiences that unfold with this work.
Well, and it is like, and when I think of it, I thought of a couple of things. So, and coaches, like, I do this, like, oh, the pressure to make a change for someone, but we don't make any of the changes, right? All we do is like, we hold space for the changes and we help them see it and be okay with it, but we can't change someone. I mean, look, I'm sure we've all tried to change people somewhere in our past. We're like, oh crap, that didn't work.
Yeah.
Because they're going to do what they're going to do. It's a thing.
Well, and attaching our self-worth, or like, the results of our business to that person, especially in the beginning. I can speak to this because I did this. We have a handful of people, and it's like, maybe it's hitting our upper limit on money. Like, I remember I had some clients for $500 a month, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe someone's paying me $500 a month. This is amazing, And I think we met every week or whatever. I was just kind of following whatever was told. And I was teaching one girl sales because I was a good sales rep, and like she just wasn't ever doing anything. And I thought it's because I wasn't doing a good job, you know.
Right.
But I took the wrong clients. I was too attached to them. One girl, I even spent a full day with her because she lived locally, making sales calls with her. And I would run. It was like I was like a sales manager, like going out in the field, and I didn't charge her for any of that. Like I felt like, come on, just get it, you know.
Now, if you could have just asked the record keepers, is she actually going to do this? Like,
Yeah, well, you know what? Actually, that's funny that you say that because that girl now, she's like, leading yoga retreats and stuff. Like she's in a whole different space now.
she was in the wrong spot. She was in the wrong spot. Sometimes we find ourselves in the wrong spot, and that's okay. We
Mhm.
just change, right?
Yeah, part
And
of the process.
and I like how you were saying that, you didn't see yourself in that space when you were outside of it. You never
Mhm.
pictured yourself on the other side of the table, and had two thoughts. One was kind of related but not related. So when I was first learning to kayak, I watched my friend. I didn't know her very well at the time, and she was demonstrating how to roll a sea kayak, like, down and up.
Mhm.
And I was watching it going, oh, that's like a magic trick. It's like, I can never, ever, I'll never know how to do that. That was my thing in my head. I'm never going to learn how to do that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when I went and took a lesson with with her and her husband, I learned it really quickly. I'm like, oh, you just have to know what to do.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of the same way. It's like we have done sessions together, and you can talk about me. It's okay. I tell people everything. And it is and one of my friends who I won't name did a session with you, and she messaged me after. She said, "Did you tell her stuff?" I said, "I didn't tell her anything. I didn't tell her anything."
It wasn't planned.
Yeah.
This
Did
was
you tell her about this and this and this? I'm like, I didn't tell her anything. I just told her that we're going
nothing.
to call her.
Yeah, nothing. Nothing.
So it is like, I see it right now as like, wow, that's magical. Like, and I
Mhm.
can hear that voice in my head going, you can never do that. But then when you
Mhm.
and I have had sessions together and you're like, hot damn, you just channeled that. I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
and
totally.
and I mean, it is accessible and it's not weird, but people can be in that place where it feels weird
Mhm.
because it's so foreign to them. Like rolling a kayak seemed so foreign, like some other
Mhm.
country. And do you have I watched Gaia TV. I was thinking of that when you were talking about channeling. I watched a whole show, like a series of television of shows on Gaia about trance channeling. I find it
Mhm.
fascinating. And that's another thing, like that's a magic trick. I don't know.
Mm.
But it's I like so you gave a little bit of an explanation on what the records are, but it's way more juicy than that, I feel like.
Yeah, totally.
Like it's
Totally.
they're so and they're so I don't know if this is true for everybody, but when we talk to them, they're such tricksters, those little jokers. They're always teasing me. Singing me songs,
Yeah,
rhyming rhymes.
the energy of the records is a very loving, supportive, non-judgmental place. And I think that if people are new to the Akashic Records or even receiving intuitive channeled readings, I think sometimes, especially when you're like, I'm going to read your soul, right? Especially it's kind of like, whoa, like I
And it's
don't want
nothing
you to
religious,
see
right?
all the stuff. Yeah, oh no. No,
There's no
it's
religion attached.
no religion, no judgment. It is literally anything that comes through is in your highest and best good. And it's really a reflection of what it is that you need to hear or see or feel in this moment to help you move forward in your growth. And I say that because, once again, I think it's like because of your friend saying, oh my God, did you tell her all these things? There are things that are going to be shared that I shouldn't know, but I will know because it's going to come through, right? And it's not because it's here to judge you or point out all of your flaws. It's here to help you, like how you said, like, I don't know, could that be for me? To help you take that step forward or to help you feel more comfortable on your path or to help you expand more or to help you to be able to trust yourself more and love yourself more. because ultimately I feel like the underlying message of a lot of readings, even though the words around it may be different, especially when it's like, what's my purpose? Am I doing the right thing? I feel like a lot of times what comes through is like, how can you love yourself more? How can you
Right.
like hold more like power of yours so that you can transform people? Because ultimately for a lot of people, what comes through, it's like, it doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're a life coach, a Akashic record reader, a kayaker, a yoga, it doesn't matter. It's more about your embodiment of your truth and
Right.
that coming through in the modality or modalities in which you feel the most excited to deliver it.
Right.
So
Stop
it's
letting
a
someone else
shift.
drive your bus.
Yeah,
And
totally.
we don't like that's a foreign thing for a lot of people. Because
Mm-hmm.
think about the way our education system is, our society is, and this is neither here nor there, but I just think about sometimes when I look at kids in school and it's like, you will now go here and you will now do this and you'll now learn this and
Mhm,
now you'll do
mhm.
this. And they don't they don't know how to make a decision for themselves.
Yeah.
It's like uh, and I don't know if there's any system that has figured out how to help people do that, except coaching, of course. We know coaching helps people do that.
I think, my perspective, I don't
Mhm.
know, but my perspective is that I think there's a couple of factors. One, it depends on the person and their soul and the lessons that they're supposed to, like they're meant to have in
Right.
this journey. Because my husband is not the follow the rules type of person. Like he's been kind of saying no to things that haven't made sense for a very long time. So where I was like very tied into the whole story of like the good grades and the straight A's and the whatever, like he didn't care if he got an A, B, C, D, F. It didn't matter. Like he was taking what he needed from the lesson and integrating it into his life and really did not give a flying boop about like he did not care.
How are his parents?
You
Did he drive them crazy?
Well, so his mom is actually a teacher, so I'm sure that things like that did. Um, but his parents are very different and they supported him in different ways. So his dad was very supportive and like, man, you do you. Like life is gonna what did he tell me the other day? Like life is, I don't know, like something about I can turn the cheek once, but I only have two cheeks. I can't keep turning the cheek. You know what I'm saying? Like, I forget, like his dad brings that kind of wisdom in and was like, how can I help you to be the most empowered version of you?
That's
And I
awesome.
think his mom brings a little bit more of the rules in, but they both really supported him from a growth standpoint. But yes, his mom was a teacher, so I'm sure there were some things
Teenage
in there.
years aren't smooth. I don't know who says they are. It's just you're trying to find a way out. So I feel
Yeah.
like you commented, like, you're so different now than when you started.
Mhm. Mhm.
And at the beginning, I was saying, we haven't known each other for very long, but we were talking
Mhm.
about this before we came on. I'm different than when we first started because I did your 7 weeks of magic, which is
Mhm.
I don't know if that's still around, but it's
Yeah.
super
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
They're like it's so I've done inner work, I'm gonna say a long time. I'm not gonna say how long
Mhm.
because because I don't wanna age myself, but a long, long time. And you think, "Oh, yeah, I've got this," and then you go, "Wait a minute, there's more. Wait a minute,
Mhm.
there's more. Wait a minute, there's more." And I was at a, talk recently in the fall. No, when was it? It was a while ago. Maybe it was time telescopes. As you age, it looks closer than it is.
Mhm, mhm.
I don't know if you know who Stephen Jenkinson is. It's okay if you
Mm-mm.
don't. Most
I
people
haven't heard
don't.
the name. Mm-mm.
He's uh he's wrote several books. One of them is called Grief Walker,
Mhm.
and he used to work in I always say paleontology, the place where people go when they are on their final journey outwards. You know, pathology. No, anyway, he worked with people who was
Funeral home? I
funeral.
don't
No,
know.
family was in a hospital-ish
Oh,
hospital
like hospice?
thing, and he
Okay,
was
I don't
like
know.
the psychologist,
Okay,
and
okay.
so he saw lots of grief,
Mm, mm,
and he's almost
mm.
like Buddhist, but not, and he tells stories that are so engaging and so, happy and sad. And I found him because this is a long story. It's okay. We'll get to it. I'll get to it. Gregory Hoskins is the musician who plays with him while he's telling these stories. And I was talking to Gregory at the end of the show because there was, a few hundred people there, which is why nobody knows he is. And he said, he was talking about inner work. And he said, the further you go in, the further you realize you have to go.
Hmm.
And he signed my CD for me. And he said, thank you for the echo, which was me just echoing back what he was saying. And I'll try to keep going deeper, I promise. So I find that, like, we have been working together with my record keepers and having a good laugh. And every time we talk to them, I'm like, there's more, there's more, there's more, there's more. And I feel like the journey just continues on until you, one of the coaches I know says, you just return your rental car and go back home. Your body is your rental car. You drive it through life. Ha ha ha. Let's have a vacation. You return your rental car and you go back home. That's that's how he refers to it. So do you ever feel like you're done? I don't, but
here's what I feel nudged to share based on what you were saying is that I agree that yes, we can go deeper and deeper and deeper and continue to uncover and release and let go. And the thing I'm going to add here is I feel like there was a time in our human evolution where it was important to really like go in and like, what can I heal and what's going on? But I also feel like we're stepping into a new time where healing loops and being attracted to the healing loop and like always looking for what's the next thing I can heal, what's the thing I can release, what's wrong with me, can keep us stuck in cycles. So I think both can exist because I'm learning a lot. Like it's not this or that, it's that and this, right? So as we do go deeper, how can we also come into this space where we are less and less attached to what it means and not like caught in this cycle of as we go deep, continue, you know what I'm saying? Where we're so deep that we can't even enjoy what's in front of us because we're like trying to fix or trying to heal or trying to what's next. Because I feel like, especially this came through in 7 Weeks of Magic, right? Like, how can we have this awareness and not hold judgment to what is, right? Like, oop, I just went really deep and wow, I realized I have this attachment to money in a way that I didn't even know that existed. Whoa, that's amazing. Right. Where maybe if you're super deep in the hole and you're not holding the space for what is, you're like, oh my God, I have to hurry up and figure out how to fix this. And it's keeping you. So just a caveat I'd like to add, yes, we're going to keep going deeper, but how can we also hold space for us to just let it be what it is without judgment so that we can really sit and step forward more confidently.
Right. It is about the energy of how you're going into it. And this is funny because I was watching something yesterday with Greg Braden, and I don't even know if it was him who said it or it was somebody else, but they were talking about how we have that tendency to, there's something wrong with me, and we're constantly trying to find what's wrong with us, which isn't the right energy to take into it. And they were tracing it back to, Darwin in the 1800s wrote this thing that we're a mistake. We were just a random mutation. And there's schools of thought that say the human body is flawed and the humans are so flawed. And there's always something wrong with you that you need to be fixing. So if you carry that in your psyche, your subconscious, then you're always going to think there's something wrong with you instead of just being, I like how when you always say, just go, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting.
That's cute.
That's cute.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah, you know what just happened to me is I had a very tough time with my mom during like COVID, and it was the first time I had any awareness of challenges with my parents because we had differences of opinion and how we were, looking at everything. And I had done some healing work, I had done some releasing, and I had come to this place where I felt like, okay, all of that craziness that really sent me, that I didn't even know existed, that I dealt with for a couple of years, I felt like I'd come to a place of peace. Okay. So I'm like feeling good. Like I've healed this.
I got this.
Yeah, like I've got this. Well, interestingly enough, just like, I feel like this speaks to, like you said, the layers that go deeper. is I'm back in Florida, which is like where I was before. My parents live here. I was here a year ago. So like that's when we started to like reconnect and like start our relationship. And it's interesting because I didn't even know this was here, but I think just the energetics of being here and knowing that we're meeting again, I was having some things coming up. And just yesterday, because being here in Tampa Bay, by the time this airs, right, I would have already like finished with all this, but I'm going to be doing a lot of in-person events here with different people. And I was meeting with someone who's another energy healer and intuitive, and there's some messages that came through me very clearly yesterday. And one of them was like, I still have some like, around my mom, because there were some things that were said, like even something as simple as she's like, I feel like maybe you were the mom in a past life. And I was like, ugh. Like my visceral response to that was like, no, I don't want to, no, fuck that. Like, I'm like mad. And I'm like, oh shit, there's still something here, and it's like from that place. Now I have this awareness where it's like from that place. I mean, yeah, I'm a human. I'm like, fuck, man, I thought I already handled all that. Like, God damn it. Got more to do here.
You can drop the F-bomb. You can drop the F-bomb. It's okay.
Yeah,
no
like,
biggie.
Like, God, I thought I had more. And then, so like now in the space where I'm at, right? Maybe if I were in a different level of consciousness about it or attachment to it, like we were talking, I would be like, oh my God, I got to figure out how to fix this. And how do I, and now I'm like, you know what if I just hold space for it? I'm aware that there is still resistance, frustration, energy, and I'm celebrating that it's coming up to come out. And I'm like, oh, that's cute. But you know what? It's helping me to be even more embodied when I do see my parents in person, noticing that this is already here and allowing it to come out.
Right.
So I feel like it's just, I can't say I would have responded like this in the past. I might have thought, well, what's wrong with me? I'm supposed to love my mom and I'm supposed to be okay with it. Or I don't know, I might have just like shoved that back down.
Right.
Or, God, I need to hire somebody to help me through this. And sometimes that is the answer. So I'm not saying, but like, what is the reason? What is the intention behind it? Is the intention from like a needy place of like, if I don't have that, I'm not enough, or I'm not filled, or I'm not full? Or is it like, you know what? I'm really feeling like I want to be held and guided through this experience from someone who's maybe, has had this or can hold like a higher level of consciousness for me. Right. And I really want to transmute this and see what else is here. Like that's a whole different thing than like, oh, I need.
Yeah. I want someone to fix this for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or can I just have someone hold my hand through this as I navigate?
Once again, sometimes we need it. Sometimes we have to go through those holding hand experiences until we realize, like you and I have had these moments where it's like, wow, I have been looking for people to hold my hand for years and years and years. And so now when I'm making decisions, I'm starting to feel the difference between like, I'm looking for someone to hold my hand versus like, that's not aligned. For example, this coach, she's like made billions of dollars, and I was really getting sucked into the energy of her Instagram, and her stuff was really good. And she was launching this money thing. And I was like, oh, that's going to be the thing. Like, that's the thing that like makes it all pop. Oh, I really want that, and I felt myself really in that. And I had to pause and be like, hold on. Like, is this a soul yes? Is this even, or in the past, I would have dropped the $800 or $2,000 on her course or whatever. And I probably would have been in the same place because that's not what I needed. I thought I did. I was like attached to that, and I really needed something else.
It's interesting that you say that, because the coaches, the big name coaches who make those millions and millions, are so skilled at the language that will, it's almost like hypnotic. You're like, yes, this is it. This is the answer. This will solve all my problems. But you still have to do the work. I mean, you still have to do your own push-ups. You still have to get over whatever it is inside you that thinks you're not enough. And you have to do it. And I've taken so many courses. I mean, I'm a total course junkie. And now I've gotten to the point, maybe because I've taken so many, that I recognize the language, but doesn't mean I don't fall prey to it.
Sometimes we do.
Sometimes I still fall prey to it. I'm like, oh, that's it. But it's interesting. I pull cards every day. You know that. And
Mhm.
my question lately has been, what energy do I have to hold to stay in alignment with my soul purpose? And the past few days, I keep pulling the temperance card, which is like, you don't need anything else, Heather. Just be patient. Just be patient. I'm like, okay.
And it's funny. So I'm not even like officially in your records, but I love this that like we have this connection. So
Yes.
I'm actually receiving guidance for you right now. So every third day or so from pulling cards, ask your higher self, ask your soul that question.
Instead of the
The
cards.
cards, yes.
Hmm.
Because what it's going to do is it's going to help you expand. And it's not saying that you can or can't use the cards, but there's a bit of a crutch with the cards.
They're
So
my
it's going to help
bus.
you. Yeah, it's going to help you expand. But like every third day or so, give
Okay.
yourself the space to ask and just be present to what's coming through, because there's something about this that's really going to open you up even more. Yeah, open you up even more. And even the reminding me of when you said earlier, like, oh, when you point out like, oh my God, you channeled that. Like it's gonna help you to get closer to like realizing when that's happening, because it's helping you
Right.
to, okay, this is how they're saying it. It's helping you to build the relationship with what that sounds like, what that higher self, what that soul sounds like.
Right.
It's building that relationship so that it's like, oh, here it comes. Oh, here it comes. And it's more of a trust of what is happening. Um, yeah, like what I see for you is I see for you using the cards in life with other people, but it's not because the cards are what are telling it to you. It's just more like the cards are like a fun thing to confirm what's already coming through.
Right.
It's kind of like a bit of a flip.
That's cool. And it's funny that you say
Mhm.
that. The friend that who had a session with you, and you you intuited so many things, and she asked me what I told you. I had done her cards just for fun.
Mhm.
And when I did them, I'm like, holy moly. Okay. So I thank
That's
you, record
awesome.
keepers. You guys are awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I mean it's interesting because sometimes we use those things to help us as a bridge, and having a bridge is okay. I think sometimes we see a vision for ourselves of what we want or what we desire, what we feel being pulled to, and it's like, oh, I really want that, but I don't know. Is that me? Can I? And all the stuff, right? And the mind
Right.
starts kicking in. And sometimes we feel like we have to like make this huge jump. And sometimes that's how it goes. We do make a huge jump.
Yeah.
And sometimes we need a bridge. We need something to kind of help us get there, to have the reps, to have the experience to get there. So it
Right.
doesn't have to be like a, you know, eh, my journey of stepping into the Akashic Nomad happened when I went to a retreat. I went to a retreat in Nashville, and it was all beautifully synchronistic the way that it happened. So another spiritual coach and friend of mine, her name's Amanda Merritt, she sent out to her email list, like, I'm going to hold this retreat in Nashville. She had just moved to Nashville from LA. And we, as nomads, we live as full-time nomads. You might have picked that up through the context here, is we were looking for a place to stay somewhere between like 10 different states, including like Georgia and the Carolinas. And we were trying to figure out where to go next. And I had heard a little whisper in the back of my head, um, how far is it from Nashville? Now, I didn't put these things together the way that I told you as if I knew these things. I did not know
Right.
about her retreat. I knew she had moved to Nashville, but I just kept like, how far is it from Nashville? It was kind of in the back of my head. And I was like, why does it matter? So fast forward, we're trying to figure out where to go. We find a place to go. It's in northern Georgia, in this beautiful place. And then she sends that email saying, I'm having a retreat. In the email, it was a 3-day retreat at a house, like kind of like real small group. And in that email, it was like all the words, I felt like she literally like was speaking out of my mind. I was like, oh my God, I feel that way. Like, did you write this for me? Like, I know we're connected, but I feel like you literally created this for me.
Right.
And then I looked up how far it was from Nashville. It was like 4 hours from Nashville where we were staying. And I was like, oh my God. So also too with this, money. I had been working through different money things and money energies, and I didn't have money. And my typical response was like, oh my God, I don't have money. But like, it was interesting because this was like such a soul yes. I
Right.
talked to my husband and he was like, it was just such a yes. I was like, I have to be there. We figured out a way to make it work. And we made that decision. And that retreat changed the whole trajectory of my life in stepping more fully into the Akashic Nomad. Because before it was like, okay, I'm doing this Akashic Records stuff, but I'm also kind of like the life adventurist, and I'm not really sure, like, am I going to like do readings like on the back end and still do life coaching? Am I going to tell people? And I had good friends who were telling me at the time, who had experienced my services both as coach and as, reader, like, well, maybe because then it'll be more palpable for mainstream. You kind of stay as a coach and then you offer it on the back end. And I was like, no, I feel like it's something else. I don't feel like it's that. Right. So I was struggling.
Yeah.
And in that moment, bringing that all together. So yes, things changed in an instant. And at the same time, then it's kind of like this past year has been about embodying that and fully owning it, not even looking back. Right.
Not
from
falling
that
backwards.
moment. Yeah. It was like, this is what it is. And here we go.
I just remembered something. I used to, so when I dream, they're very involved and I don't always write them down because, God, it would take me hours. But something just popped into my head that I once had this dream where I woke up and the thing that I remembered was trees only fall forward. And I don't know why I said that. I don't know what that has to do with anything. It just popped into my head, so it had to come out. Yes. Oh, so good. Like, we are humans and we are in this world where the people will have ideas and some people will love us and some people won't love us. And that's groovy because it's always been that way.
Yeah.
When I was an accountant, some people loved me, some people didn't love me. When I was a massage therapist, like, it's just part of life. So, but I think we feel weirder about it when we're into, I don't think it is, but fringe, like in the weird world.
Yeah.
But I think it's more, well, we're not at this point in history, we're not going to get burned at the stake for it, at least. But currently, I don't know. How's it going down there in Florida?
We're good here.
Okay, good.
I'm safe.
But it is interesting, like, people are going to like you and people are not going to like you. And this is, I know that's what you've been telling me. I'm looking up at the record keepers. I know that's what you've been telling me, because that's like your soul yes, and you're stepping into it and saying, this is just what I'm going to do. I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it for people. I know that's what they've been telling me. Still working on it, and I think it's okay.
Yeah, it's it can happen in an instant or it can happen with a bridge. It can happen in both ways.
And even that instant wasn't really an instant. It was like you had to go through a bunch of things to get to be ready. Because I know we've talked about this before. Sometimes they won't tell you the answer because you're not ready for it. So you were finally primed and they lit the match and off you went, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And really, I mean, since then, like we were joking a bit, like we're recording this in October. I had to look up and see what the date was. Like October, right?
It's Friday the 13th.
Oh yes, I love it. I'm not even like weirded out about it.
No.
So like
3 plus 1 is 4.
It's perfect. Yeah, so we're recording this in October and this is going out in February. And we were just like, we were both talking about like, I'm not going to be the same person in February. Like really, ultimately, like if we go super simple with it, none of us are going to be the same person because you're never the same person that you were yesterday. Okay, so there's the foundation, but also I feel like for those of us who are continuously leaning in and taking those steps and really walking the small steps on the bridge, right? Like when you lean in and every third day you go, you know what does my higher self, what does my soul say? And you don't pull the cards, or you have the intuitive nudge and you listen, or you, right? Like you make those soul yeses and every day you lean in, your life is going to be so dramatically different in a short period of time, right? Yeah. But it's like in those day-to-day moments, if we can, I like this. I might share. I just had this like nudge to share. You're going to get this in your email today, Heather. maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday. I don't know. I have a channel message I'm going to send out to the email list, but I was like, oh my gosh, this might be a perfect time to share it. Do we have time to share it?
Go. I'm
Yeah,
the boss. We can go as long as we want.
Because it like speaks to what we're talking about. And I actually pulled it up just in case this came. I'm in my mind about like, will I send that today or not?
Don't worry about that.
Okay, so trust in the moment. Are you willing to show trust in all moments, even if they are perceived as small or not enough? Would it be possible for you to let go of all attachments and expectations of outcomes that you hold so near and dear to your heart? Would it be possible to, even if just for a moment, to view your own life and circumstances through a different lens? What if you invited even more of the frequency of fun and play into your life and replaced the moments where you typically show up serious? What if you trusted in each and every moment and allowed it to unfold without judgment or expectation? How much more free internally would one feel? How would you perceive the answer to this question when you place the focus outside of you? What if you were to shift the question to ask this of yourself? What would shift and change? How much more free internally would I feel if I trusted in each and every moment and allowed it to unfold without judgment or expectation? What else would be possible if you trusted in the moments?
Right. So good.
Yeah. And in that one part where they're like, you shift the focus from outside of you to inside of you, I feel like it can be easy to be like, well, what if someone were to trust in the moments? Yeah, that would just be so great, wouldn't it? It makes
Right.
sense. But then it's
Yeah,
like, well, what if
totally.
I had to ask myself?
Whoa.
Like, what if I'm willing to trust in the moments? And I feel like when you really step in, being cliche, like when we really step into our purpose and our life path, we are trusting the moments. We are
Right.
trusting the moments, and we're continuing to show up and lean into the edges and do the things without fear, even if it's the smallest thing, and celebrating the smallest thing.
Right. I had like a waterfall of thoughts that flowed through my brain. I'm not going to
Channeled.
Yeah, right.
Channeled.
La 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 la. There they all go. Sometimes they move so fast I can't even catch them before they're at the other side. Whoa, did you see that? Oh my gosh. Yes. And it's hard, but it's not hard, right?
Mhm.
It's if you can turn down the voice that says that that's not even your voice. Like I said this to a client one day. That voice that's telling you that you're doing this wrong and you're doing this wrong, that's not your voice. That's somebody else's voice that
Mhm.
you've adopted as your own. So you don't have to know who it is. Sometimes it
Mhm.
helps to know who it is, but maybe you could just like thank them
Mhm.
and tell them to go sit in the back seat.
Right. Right. Right.
Hi, honey. Hi, here. So speaking about being totally different in February,
Mhm.
it's because what else have you got going on? So there's the 7 weeks of magic, which when you sent me the write up on the 7 weeks of magic, it was kind of like when you got the write up on the retreat. I'm like, she totally wrote this for me, didn't she? Right?
That's so cool.
She's so inside my head.
Yeah. So I have 7 Weeks of Magic group experience program that is really designed to help people to really trust themselves and trust their intuition and come into this place where they are trusting the moment even more and even more. And so that right now, like, see what I love about this work is that for me, this is what I love. I have no problem with this as a business thing because I know there's going to be some of you who have businesses that follow like, like, oh, quarterly I launch this and monthly I launch that, like signature program. Right now, I'm so in the moment with this, although I do get out of the moment where I'm like, oh my God, what do you need to create? But like, I'm so in the moment with what's coming through that I honestly don't know what the cadence of 7 weeks of magic will be, but I will tell you what I know now. So I am going to run another live group, probably sometime here soon, which would have been before this aired. I'm also, this was another nudge that came through, and Heather was there when it happened, like literally, about how I'm going to be teaching and training the Akashic Records to others. And I've been sitting with this because I felt like, oh my God, I really want to put this out there, like, let's go. And I'm glad that I'm still been sitting with this, because what's been clear to me as of this recording, we will see what happens in February, is that I feel like what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be leading the first group through learning how to open the records for themselves. And one thing that is becoming really clear to me about this, anybody can learn how to open the records for themselves. You could literally find a podcast, a YouTube, you could Google something. Like, there is so much information. There's many different prayers. There's books. Like, you can do this on your own. You don't need me, and you don't need a class. And there are people who have gone through those things and they are doubting, or they're like wondering, what is it? Wait, was that, what, did I actually channel that? What was that? So I feel like my space to hold in the Akashic Record training right now is to hold the space for about a month where people can learn how and practice opening their records for themselves. So it's a space where, like, I'll prompt different questions. We'll talk about what the records are. It's going to be a training, and it's going to be like, okay, well, now go ask these questions, and then we can share. And, oh, this is where I was stuck, to really help you come more into that place. That's going to be that experience. And what I feel like, and you and I have talked about this, like, what I feel like is, like, anybody can join that. There's no prerequisites to that. Anybody can join that. It also is going to be at a little bit higher of a price point than, like, some of the free and some of the other ones, because of holding like that. I don't see anybody doing that, right? It's like, oh, come to this 2-hour webinar, or this 4-hour course, or whatever.
Right.
So then coming into this is very clear, because remember we talked about this.
Yeah.
So for helping others learn how to open the records for others, that's not going to happen until 2024. So it could be in January, it could be February. I'm not exactly 100% sure when, but that does feel like a 2024 experience for that. Now, what I'll say about this is that I do feel very strongly that whether you are going to do work like the Akashic Nomad and you're going to channel things and become the Akashic Record person, or you're going to be like Heather Stewart, real life coach, and you're going to use this work as part of your offering, or even if you're not even going to offer it, and what it's going to do is it's going to help you to trust yourself even more.
Right.
Because when you learn how to read for others, it helps you trust what's coming through for yourself. And I think it's a win-win, whether you're actually going to do this in a professional way. The prerequisite for that will be 7 weeks of magic, for sure. There has to be some kind of a foundation of understanding of, like, helping you come into this place where you are trusting yourself more. So for that, I say that because I don't know if I'm going to keep running that live, or if it's going to be home study, or how, because, like, the content's there.
Right.
It's more of like, is it going to be run live, or is it going to be run? So that's kind of like what's going on, what's unfolding over the next 3 months, plus being live, like, in person. I'm going to do a ton of in-person things in Florida that are going to stretch me. I'm about to commit to an event in November where I'll be one of the, like, readers as part of this day retreat, this transformational event. And I haven't done the in-person stuff because it's all been on Zoom. So, like, whatever's unfolding as I'm leaning in and showing up, like, that's why I'm like, I have no idea what else is going to come through. Like,
it's going to be amazing.
It does feel like that's kind of like where it's at now. And it'll be fun to re-listen to this in February and be like, oh, wow, that happened. That didn't happen. Wow, that expanded. That happened quicker than I thought. That happened longer. Like, right. We have, like, our
totally
now present moment. Yeah. Like,
I do that all the time.
Like, oh my God. So it kind of feels weird holding this space and speaking kind of into the future like this, of being like, this is what I have now. And when I listen to this a couple months down the road, like, what's going to be present?
What the heck? Oh my God, so cool.
But I will say the cool thing, and you can probably speak to this too, Heather, is that working with me, that, one, I'm going to be holding space for what is and what is present in the moment. And I am, in a lot of ways, going through this a lot, like, right alongside of you. So some of the same challenges that I have, you have, and I'm maybe like a micro step ahead, or even a couple steps ahead, where it's like, I'm literally doing this work. Like, I recorded on my podcast an episode called I'm All In. because I have to be like, I have to hold the space and be like, I'm fucking going in. I'm listening to what the record keepers are saying. Like, this is happening. So you know that you're getting like, I'm right here. I'm doing it. I'm
It's
receiving
real.
similar messages. Like, I'm struggling with the same thing sometimes. Like, all of
Well,
that.
and so, yes, every experience that we've had together has been super amazing, even when it was sometimes where I went pouty face and went, I don't want to. Like when
That's
you
so
told me to
funny.
get my ass behind it, I'm like,
Yeah. Those end up being my favorite sessions, although they're super uncomfortable in the moment. I'm like learning how to hold space for them even better. But like, because of course I want everybody to be high five and be all happy. But like, those are the most powerful moments.
well, and it's like what you need to hear. And what I like
Mhm.
about it is because I have a personal aversion to the guru thing, because I
Mhm.
remember asking you, I'm
Mhm.
not going to name names. I remember asking you one day, I'm like, I went to a meditation for this, and it's a very well-known person that everybody loves. I'm like, does he have a God complex?
Mhm.
Because I
Yeah.
don't want to ever feel like you're ahead of me, which is fine, which,
Mhm.
because it gives you something to aim at, but I don't need you to be like, I'm up here and you're down there. Like, I don't, for me personally, that makes me turn my back on those people. So I love that when we were doing the 7 weeks of magic with our awesome friends, that you were going, yeah, that happened to me. And but you also had a different perspective. So because
Mhm.
you're experiencing it or have experienced it, you can bring your perspective into it, which is, I mean, I think I tell my yoga students, and I used to tell my massage students, I've injured myself this much so I can tell you how to work through it.
Yeah. You know what I love about what you said is I feel like it really reflected something back and grounded something in me I didn't consciously realize, but I feel like I knew at some level. Is it's possible I may have like, oh, here's my programs, home study, here you go, right? Because they were recorded this moment, but they're still timeless and they can still go. But as far as like live experiences, I feel like a lot of what I'm gonna be doing is kind of like bringing people along, like as I'm growing, you're growing,
Yeah,
versus like, okay, well, I'm always teaching about trusting yourself and trusting your intuition. I think that's always going to be a foundation, but I do feel strongly that I'm going to be helping in different capacities. Like that's not going to be my shtick that like I just continue to teach on. I feel like it's just going to be this like evolving as I evolve. That those are the programs that will be present in that moment, and anything that makes sense to be recorded and offered as home study that could still be really beneficial will go. But as far as like me, like you said, being there side by side telling the story, because obviously X amount of time from the future leading someone through 7 weeks of magic, I might be too far ahead. I might be
right.
more of that God complex because I've moved. I don't know. Like that's, I don't know. This
You
is just
won't
me
have
going,
it.
well, probably
They
not.
might put you there because you're like, oh,
Right.
she's so
Because
far.
it's, yeah,
I
oh,
mean,
look,
really,
wow. She's manifesting all those things and it feels like too
too far
far,
leap.
you
So
know?
there's little bridges in between, which is
Mhm.
it's like you're just pulling people, and they can enter the bridge or they can be on the boat.
Mhm. It's fun. Look at you. Yeah. Did you just look at you. You even
Look at
caught
you.
it too. You even caught it that time. You even caught it because
Did you
you
see my
paused and you're
face?
like, yeah, I did. I did. I caught it. You caught it. I didn't catch it. You caught it. I told you that you caught it. You caught it. Like, girl,
There you go, friends.
celebrate the little moment.
Boom, mic drop. Um, I could talk to you forever, you know that.
Yes.
But we have to let people go. So we're gonna put your website,
Mhm.
your YouTube channel, your Instagram, Facebook. You guys, seriously, all these channeling messages on Facebook and YouTube, you can just go and ask a question, and boom, there it is. Right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Do you have
Yeah.
is there anything I forgot?
The thing that I'll say, like, kind of as, like, a
Yes.
closing
Yes.
is
That's what I want right there.
really, really listen to your soul. Listen to that inner guidance, listen to your higher self, listen to whatever the name is that you feel that most resonates with you. Higher self, soul, God, like, listen to that little whisper. And as you're moving forward in your journey, whether it's me, whether it's Heather or others who come into your path, really feel into, like, is there some kind of like an activation, right? When you hear Heather speak, when you hear me speak, when you hear others speak, is there some kind of an activation or this nudge where it's like, oh my God, some kind of soul agreement or soul contract. Like, I feel like this is here. And when you make the decisions to work with one of us or anybody else, practice for it to be like a soul yes. And if it's feeling pressured, right? Or if it's feeling like, oh, I have to do this, or FOMO, or what if I don't? Just tune in. Tune in and see what's there. You may still choose to make the decision. Like you said, sometimes we will.
Sometimes
But
you'll
really,
still go
like,
get the donut.
yeah, like just really sit with it. Like, 7 weeks of magic is not just like, here's my link, everybody buy.
Right. No.
It has to be like a full on yes for you. And I had people in the first round who I reached out to, and they were like, yes, I want to do it. And then it was like, well, what is your higher self? Like, what is your intuition saying? And now's not a good time. And it's
Right.
like, that's the answer. I mean, yes, I could sit here and charm you into coming in because you want to do it, but like if it's not the right time, if it's not, you know what I'm saying? Like,
If it doesn't feel right, then it's not right.
yeah, and they were like, "No, but I want to do it." I'm like, "You will. You
Yeah.
will. There will be a time where us working together in that capacity, whatever it looks like, will come." And I think it takes a lot for us as coaches, as healers, to be able to hold space for somebody to come into that decision on their own
Yeah.
and to unplug from the matrix of, how do you overcome their objection and how do you close the sale?
Oh, yeah. I've been down
Right?
all
To
those rabbit
unplug
holes.
from that, right? And to be able just to hold space for someone to really have like a full on yes,
Yeah.
and not a yes that's like maybe based on your excitement or based on them feeling bad about saying no or whatever.
Yeah. So good. Oh my gosh. Okay, my friend.
Yeah.
I love you lots. This has been awesome. Friends in podcast land, the links are everywhere. Just send us messages if you want more info because we love talking to people, and maybe we'll do like a little check-in right after this one airs to see where we are.
That's a good idea. We should do like a live on Instagram or something or
We
YouTube
should
or
have a
whatever.
listening party or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Something.
We'll totally do it. We'll put it in the calendar.
Okay.
Okay,
You have
deal.
to send me a link so I don't book anything. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm wide open in February.
I know, right? It's crazy. My friends, peace out. Take care of yourselves, and we'll talk.